Hello guys and welcome to another class tutorial from me. This time I will showcase the new class Brawler, which is now live on the EU servers with the 3.0 update. In this video you will learn everything you need to know about the skills and the content of the class, which hopefully will give you some exclusive and helpful insights. Same as the Revenant, the Brawler takes a different ascension path from the other existing classes. You will start on a fighting academy battleground called Lumiere's Mansion. Here you have to level up by campaign quests and prevent the Dark Lord of the mansion from his uprising in an interesting quest line. At this point I don't want to spoil the whole story for you guys. This is something you really should experience yourself, and therefore we will jump right into the class mechanics. The Brawler is a hybrid melee ladder class carrying two non-extendable one-strike weapons. It uses physical as well as magical skills. However, boosting the magical skills with a magic boost set is not possible. The weapon is called Dragon Claw, and similar to the Assassin, you need two of them in order to be able to use your skills. For example, here you can see an endgame weapon, which you can drop from the new instance Citadel of the Sacred. The class has a broken parry mechanism, where you will be able to bind and silence your enemy after a successful parry. For this you have two skills: Crawling Slam, which will bind your enemy for 3 seconds with only a 7 seconds cooldown, and Binding Strike, which will also bind your enemy for 3 seconds with a 10 seconds cooldown. Later on you can acquire a Stigma from Tiamat, which will be the upgraded version of this skill. It's basically the same skill, however it will not only bind the target but also silence it. Binding Strike and Silent Strike will share the same cooldown, so I recommend you to get the Tiamat Stigma. In total you will have two skills every 7 and 10 seconds to bind and silence your enemy, which is the most broken mechanic I have ever seen so far in this game, besides the fear from the Spirit Master. Therefore the main stats you need to focus on are Crit Strike, Magic Accuracy and of course Parry for your toggle skills. Brace yourself if you are melee, because this class will make you rage quit. Also to mention at this point is that the Brawler has two more toggle skills, which will activate once you parry the skill. The first one is called Fortitude, which will increase your parry and physical defense by 500 each. And let me tell you guys, I tested it and this skill is almost every time up, which makes the Brawler pretty tanky against physical classes. The second skill is called Counter Flare, which will teleport you 7 meters forward after a successful parry, and also removes all movement restricted states. Okay guys, let's have a look at the new fighting system. The Brawler uses a similar fighting system than the Revenant, however some features are completely new. The Brawler doesn't consume mana at all, instead he has to build up his ki in every fight. It's the yellow energy bar below your HP, and once your ki is fully charged it will burn down to 0, while enabling you to use skills that you can only use during the ki release phase. This special state of the Brawler resets some cooldowns, but they are not really cooldowns, they are basically the same skills but named differently, with an upgraded effect, which you can only use during this state. It's a bit confusing at first, but let's have a deeper look at this. As you can see, the ki in this example is full. So in order to use these special skills efficiently, you have to wait until it runs out, and shortly before it does so, you press Indelible Stain, which will reduce the enemy's accuracy by 100. After you follow up with Racing Breakthrough, which will reduce your enemy's physical defense by 250. And if your timing is right, you use these upgraded skills before your ki ran out, as you can see here in this example, because now the skills switch back to normal and you can skip the cooldown. In addition, you can now use the normal skills because they stack and reduce the physical defense and accuracy of your enemy about the same amount again, to a total of minus 500 physical defense and minus 200 accuracy, which is a lot. So to summarize what we just learned, even though you could train a monkey to win against every physical classes with the Brawler's broken parry mechanics, you still need some brain capacities of a human to make a good use of the key mode and the upgrade skills, because this class is all about timing after all. Okay guys, let's have a look at the chain skills. The first skill chain is needed to charge your key. After 2 basic skills, you can choose between the upper tree, which starts with Unforgiving Pawn, dealing magical wind damage to a target and up to 4 enemies within a 5-meter range, followed by another AoE called Bulldoze, which inflicts physical damage to a target as well as 4 enemies within a 5 meters range again. After that, depending on your key state, you can use either Dragon Slam or Dragon Quake. Dragon Slam is available in the charging state when your key is not full yet, and it's a magical AoE that hits 4 enemies in front of you. Dragon Quake is available in the burn state when your key is burning from 100% down to 0 again. As mentioned before, it's an upgrade skill and therefore blurred out on the screen because it's only available in the burn state. It inflicts magical wind damage to 6 enemies in front of you, immobilizes them for 8 seconds, while at the same time increasing your parry by 500. So it's basically a group root which cannot be disabled, and it also resets the cooldown for the whole skills of this chain. The lower tree starts with Hammer Slam, which only inflicts physical damage to a target without any additional effects. Followed by Shattering Elbow, you pretty much have the same skill, and it finishes with Soaring Dragon, which as well deals physical damage to 1 target. Surging Dragon again is the upgrade skill, which is only accessible in the key burn state. It deals physical damage to 1 target as well as increasing your accuracy by 200 and attack by 20. As you can guess, this is most likely the PvE chain because it has no greater effects on enemy spot damage. Okay, the next chain is also needed to charge key, and it starts with Orgul Knee. It's a skill that allows you to charge to a target within a 10 meters range, dealing physical damage to it and also immobilizing it for 2 seconds. The second skill is Heavenbound Kick, which only deals physical damage to 1 target, followed by Meridian Kick, which again has pretty much the same effect. The last skill of this chain is called Crescent Kick. It inflicts a high amount of physical damage while also stunning the target for 1.5 seconds. The burn state skill is called Burning Crescent. It has an upgraded effect and stuns up to 6 targets for 1.5 seconds in front of you, while also boosting your own immobilization resistance and movement speed debuff resistance by 700. The broken thing about this skill again is that the altered state can't be disabled. So in other words, you can't use shock remove during the stun, which makes this class pretty dangerous. But we will talk about the insane stun lock ability of this class later. The third skill chain starts with Polaris Rush. It's a life leech AoE which is 3 times repeatable. It deals 35% of the target's HP and hits up to 4 enemies in front of you. After that, you can use Slashing Touch, which deals physical damage to a target and stumbles it. The crazy effect about this skill is that if you use it on a target that has a buff active to increase its own stumble resistance, like for example the Unwavering Devotion from the Gladiator and the Templar, it will debuff the target and reduce its stumble resistance by 500 for 40 seconds. This is an insane counter for the most hated skill in this game, and as I mentioned before, this class will be able to totally obliterate the Templars and Gladiators. Okay guys, the next chain is an interesting one. It starts with an AoE that hits 6 enemies in front of you and finishes with a Sending Kick, which puts a target into the Aether Hold state, while also decreasing his physical defense by 500 for 40 seconds if this skill is used on a class that has an Airbind resistance buff active. Before the Aether Hold runs out, you can use Surge Strike to deal a high amount of damage to your target and also making it crash to the ground. Okay, we talked about the toggle skills before, so I will just skip that part now. And the next chain is related to the shock remove. After you press shock remove, you can now choose between Key Recharge, which recharges 50 of your key, or Skyward Fist, which deals physical damage to a target and makes it stumble. So guys, that's it for the skill chains, and let's continue with the great Stigmas. The class has 6 Stigmas, which will boost different stats passively as long as you have the Stigma equipped, and you can see them here on the left side. Keep in mind that while I was recording I didn't have access to the highest versions of these skills, so therefore I will just blend in the end versions of those skills for you guys to give you the correct values. The first stigma is called Boost Parry, and as the name says, it boosts your parry by 300 permanently. The next stigma increases your HP permanently by 600, and the third one increases your stun penetration by 500. This means that your chance of stunning a target will be permanently 50% higher than any other classes. Especially if your opponent uses buffs to increase his resistance to stun, this stigma will be super helpful if not broken. And in my opinion, it's a must-have for PvP. Okay, we already talked about this skill. After a successful parry, it binds a target for 3 seconds. And then we have Flashing Reach, which will boost your physical attack by 32% as well as your accuracy by 200% for 30 seconds. Fist of Eclipse will deal a high amount of damage on a target within a 5 meter range of you, while also letting you evade all physical and magical attacks for 3 seconds. Very powerful skill, guys, and again a must-have for PvP. The last skill is called Mirror Strike, and guys, this skill is really insane. For 3 seconds it reflects all status effects and even a small amount of damage that you will receive back to your opponent. So for example, if you time the skill perfectly, you could even reflect the fear from the Spirit Master back to him, making him fear himself and destroying his keyboard. I think the developers just thought, hey, why not make PvP even more unbalanced in this game and create a new class which we will give the best skills from Templar, Gladiator and Assassin, and then we call it Brawler. Anyway, let's continue. The next passive skill will boost your elemental defense by 80. In my opinion, you can ignore this stigma because soon we will have magic suppression on the new PvP gear. Still, it's 8% less damage from magical classes, so you have to decide if it fits your playstyle or not. The next stigma will increase your physical attack permanently by 62 points, and the last stigma is pretty nice because it will increase your speed by 6% permanently. The next stigma is called Thundering Blow. It lets you jump to a target in a 10 meter range, deals some physical damage and also stuns it for 1.5 seconds. Rugged Strike will increase your attack speed by 15% and your speed by 12% for 30 seconds. Call of the Wind is also a charge skill that lets you jump to a target within a 15 meters range, however it doesn't have the stun effect. In total the class has 4 charge skills, which let you jump to a target in between a 10 to 15 meters range. Flash, Thundering Blow, which also is a stun for 1.5 seconds, Auguling Kick and Call of the Wind. Okay, back to the greatest stigmas. The last skill is called Falling Star and it deals a big amount of magical damage to a target within a 10 meter radius after a 4-second delay. The damage dealt is pretty high at the moment. However, you can't boost the effect of those skills with a magic boost set. There are a few more powerful skills that I want to talk about, which are not included in the stigma tree. The first one is called Rooted Stand. It increases your stun, knockback, stumbled, spin and ether holds resistance by 700. Furthermore, your immobilization resistance and movement speed debuff resistance by 1000, which means you can't be rooted or slowed or stunned, e.g. And it also increases your physical defense by 70%. This skill is similar to the Templar's Steel Wall defense. You will be slowed down, unable to jump, and you can't use basic attack skills during the skill is active. However, this skill is still very effective in PvP to bridge the time between when your shock remove is on cooldown. The next skill we didn't hear about so far is Volant Evasion. This badass stigma lets you evade all physical attacks for 4 seconds. And it only has a 30-second cooldown. So to summarize it, the class has 2 evasion skills, Volant Evasion and Fist of Eclipse, which lets you resist all physical and magical attacks for 3 seconds. In combination, these 2 make you really hard to target and they also give you a tactical advantage over every class you're facing. However, Fist of the Eclipse is a bit more tricky to use because you have to hit your target first within a 5 meter range in order for the evasion effect to be activated. The next skill I want to mention is Airborne Shackle. With only a 10 seconds cooldown, it roots a flying target which is up to 15 meters away from you for 3 seconds in mid-air. This skill is extremely helpful in flight combat and makes any escape from you almost impossible. Okay guys, let's jump to the overall review. The new fighting system enables the Brawler to reset a lot of his stun skills. Combined with its many stun, stumble and auto hold skills, the class is basically able to keep you in stun lock forever if your timing is right. To demonstrate it, let's have a look together at this clip. Stun, followed by stumble, stun again, stumble again, followed by auto hold. Once the auto hold is finished, stun again, and the duel is over because no class will be able to withstand this combination for so long, because it lasts longer than a perfect fear lock, besides the Brawler dealing at least triple the damage from the Spirit Master. This rotation needs practice and you can basically keep it up forever. However, you need to know exactly what you are doing, and also you need to pay attention to your key release, because you need to reset your cooldowns by the burning state in order to keep the endless rotation ongoing. As already mentioned, this class will totally obliterate the physical classes due to its hard counter skill set. Never before have I ever seen such a broken class mechanic, and it's safe to say that even the most experienced Templars, Chanters and Gladiators will most likely lose to a rookie, because the endless bind, parry and stun penetration of this class makes it almost impossible for them to do anything. The Assassin, Ranger and the Revenant definitely have a better chance against this class, simply because of their immense damage output and the many control skills which they combine with a fast combat mechanic. I would rate the Ranger almost as a counter class, because ranged classes have a huge advantage over the Brawler. When it comes to magical classes, the Brawler faces its worst enemy. Even though the class has some counter skills, it will still be hard for him to keep track. So you have to play smart, because once you're covered or in control lock, it's most likely game over for you. In PvE, the class is able to deal a lot of damage and also shines in combat situations where there are adds to kill or skills to evade. The fact that the class doesn't need mana to use its skills makes the combat even more enjoyable, because you don't need to pay too much attention to your pots like other classes have to in order to not run out of mana. So guys, that's it for the class tutorial. I hope I could give you some good informations and insights about the mechanics and skills. If you have any further questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments. I will try to answer all of them. And if you liked the video, please consider to subscribe. It will help the channel to grow and furthermore keeps me motivated to make content for the community. So take care guys, and see you in the next video.